so in love with you.
Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, if you're like me, you've been investing in the stock market and you know that it's an absolute bloodbath right now. In fact, I'm down roughly $30,000 on my portfolio, so I absolutely hate the stock market right now. But what's really important to note, you guys, is there are so many investors right now that are absolutely destroying and dumping stocks from really big real estate companies like Lennar, Zillow, Redfin, Open Door, and many, many others. Now, the reason why it's important to notate that is generally the housing market is going to lag behind 3 to 6 months from how well performance-wise these companies are doing, real estate companies are doing in the stock market. And obviously what we've noticed right now is an absolute exodus. Now, to put things in perspective, over the last 6 months, Lennar is down 25%. Zillow is down 54%. Open Door is down over 70%. So they're down massive amounts. Now, also, let's compare the S&P. The S&P is only down 2.5%. So these real estate companies are way exceeding losses as it compares to the S&P 500. Now, that's obviously a sign of things to come. There's usually a reason why investors start dumping real estate companies. They obviously no longer have faith in the housing market, and that's probably for good reason. Now, you guys remember, I am not a financial advisor. I'm a YouTuber sharing with you my opinions, my journey, and things of that nature. Although my main line of work is a loan officer in Texas, realtor in Houston, and an instructor all around town. And if you guys can, please do me a favor for the YouTube algorithm, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, comment and read my comments. There's some very bright individuals that gives us many comments about intel and about experiences, and I suggest you guys read that. Now, going back to the investors, now obviously investors are losing a lot of confidence in the housing market and a lot of confidence in these companies, predominantly because their income is probably declining very rapidly. Their numbers are no longer as profitable as they once were in 2021. So what does it mean when real estate companies start to lose a ton of money, investors start losing faith in them, start losing faith in the housing market? Generally what that is a warning and a signal of what's right around the corner, which is essentially a housing market crash. Now, what I've learned over the past few days, you guys, is how much different people define a crash and not a crash versus a cool down. Now, my opinion of a crash is a 15% loss in equity. A lot of other people have the definition of crash at 40% equity or going down to the value of houses right before the pandemic. I don't share that opinion because I've lost a lot of money in the last collapse, and essentially what I'm saying is anyone that is purchasing homes right now or during the last year, any loss of equity to them is a crash. And it's those people that I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about current homeowners with super low interest rates with a whole bunch of equity. Those people more than likely are going to be generally okay. It's the homeowners that are stuck in their house right now that I'm the most worried at. Now, obviously, when the housing market does well, so do the stocks of companies that are in the housing market. So the fact that we're in a housing market bubble essentially means that we're also in a stock bubble when it comes to these real estate companies. And I believe if you guys go back and study Lennar, Zillow, Redfin, all of these companies, CoreLogic, you're going to see that during 2021, there was a huge influx in the value of their stock because investors kept purchasing and purchasing and purchasing, and their stock became overvalued. Why do I say overvalued? Because it has crashed and plummeted. So the housing market in a bubble, stocks go in a bubble. That bubble pops in the stock market. What's going to happen in the housing market? That bubble's more than likely going to pop and spread across from metro area to metro area. Now, obviously, you guys know it's not going to happen, at the same time. Not all metro areas are going to get hit the same way, but the metro areas that are predominantly overvalued and housing, and equity surges that are breaking fundamentals are probably going to get hit the worst. Now, essentially what this is going to cause in the housing market is it's going to speed up the crash, right? So these real estate companies and investor real estate companies that are losing so much money are probably going to start taking a step back from reckless real estate investing. And that's going to speed up the crash because there's going to be less demand and less profit. And you guys, the science is here, right? The writing's on the wall. If these companies, these massive companies, huge, big real estate companies are no longer making profit, are no longer making as much money, there's no longer investor demand and investor confidence, again, that's a sign that they're not going to make as much money and that they're going to suffer through the upcoming recession, the upcoming cool down, or the upcoming housing market crash, however you want to look at it. But it is another forward thinking and forward looking indicator on why you need to be so cautious right now if you're out there currently buying, because here's the problem, you guys, the housing market has not crashed yet. And that's why I'm saying right now you may want to take a step purchasing because the dust has not yet settled. Remember, these are, the housing market is going to lag behind these things. It's going to lag behind the stock market. It's going to lag behind these top real estate firms. But again, it's just more and more evidence, more and more proof, more and more trends on where we're headed as we continue to move forward in 2022. So again, I love talking about this thing on my station, not to talk about the doom and gloom. I'm just saying I'm not afraid to talk about the hard things. I went through it myself, and I believe as licensed professionals, realtors or loan officers, they have a duty to their clients to talk about the potential harm in buying right now and the potential benefit of waiting. So I have no problem jumping right into the middle of all of these controversial theories and projections of the housing market. And here's the thing, you guys, I went through it myself. I learned the hard way. I went through the pain, and that's why I'm making these videos, because even though this is bad things that are happening down the road, I believe that if you prepare, right, that if you're in a situation to prepare for these upcoming challenges, there may be some of the best buying opportunities in decades, right? So that's what I'm preparing for, and that's what I'm really telling you guys. Expect these things to happen so you can put yourself in a situation to invest in a primary residence, possibly even a rental. I don't know, but you need to prepare for the bad stuff so that you become a winner on the other side. Now, because of all of these factors, guys, and because of how the housing market lags behind certain trends, that's why I'm saying this year, right, 2022, and I've said this since the beginning of doing these vlogs on a regular basis. So I think Q4 of this year, we're gonna start seeing a housing market crash start hitting our nation. It's gonna spread throughout metro areas. Maybe not all metro areas are gonna crash in 2022, but I believe enough metro areas are gonna crash into 2022 to where the narrative in mainstream media is going to change, and there's going to be a highlighted view of exactly the type of crash in the housing market. And I believe that's in Q4. I believe Q3 is going to be the inventory influx, right? We're going to have too much inventory. We're going to have such low demand. It's going to come crashing down. And I want you guys to follow along that with me. So in my own life, I'm preparing to purchase real estate at the end of this year and into 2023. And I'm really excited about making those videos with you guys. I'm going to show you my negotiating strategies, when I go into escrow, the closing strategy. I'm going to show you all of that, but not right now because I don't want to lose money and I'm deathly afraid. Now, I understand that if people can afford to hold, so if buyers buy right now, I understand a lot of those buyers will be safe as long as they have the ability to hold on to their property. I'm not disputing that real estate is generally a great investment. I'm only cautioning whoever's purchasing right now, because if people don't have the ability to stay in their house because of health, finances, having to move, or whatever the reason is, they can no longer sell because they're upside down in their house, right? That's dangerous. That often leads to foreclosure. Now, a lot of people say, well, they can rent it. That's not necessarily true. If they're on financial hard times, how are they going to upkeep the property? What if the AC goes out? What if there's a leak in the house, right? They have to have a positive cash flow, and renting is expensive at first, right? You got to clean the house. You got to make sure it's fixed. You got to put new appliances as needed, and you got to constantly maintain your property. So renting out a property is not always something that someone can do. So that's why I'm saying, you guys, there's a crash coming. It's probably going to start in Q4. Our recession is probably going to start in Q3 of this year, and we're probably going to have a huge inventory influx in Q3. Now, if you're like me on the sidelines, just waiting for the right buying opportunity, this is what I would suggest that you do. Have confidence in your discipline, right? Have confidence that. Continue to increase your credit. Watch your budget, rebudget, right? Continue to save your money. Get completely out of consumer debt. And probably one of the most important things is get an additional source of income and watch your local market every day if possible by using either a Realtor, Redfin, or Zillow. But you're going to want to review your local market or wherever you want to invest because it changes daily and you need to understand the trends because no one's going to treat your investment like you're going to treat your investment. But you guys, the stock market is an absolute bloodbath right now. And in 3 to 6 months, probably less than that right now, we're going to start seeing a similar bloodbath in the housing markets. You can count on that. Now, I really appreciate you guys following along with me in this journey. I appreciate you watching my video. Don't forget to comment below. Now, obviously, if you're out there investing in real estate, I really do wish you luck and I hope you win.